This. All right, so you can see my screen.
Yep.
All right, so what did I write last time? So I gave you this Yelp API thread that, so you're supposed to take in, when you click on an airport, it takes in the city for that airport and gives you restaurants that are nearby?
Yep.
Okay, so this guy right here changes based on what's put in. Okay. So we're going to have, here's our Yelp API constructor. So we're going to go ahead and test this. Let me just run it real quick. I think, do I do it inside my main activity? Yeah, I do. And what do I do currently? It runs through and just prints out the name of all the restaurants in Milwaukee. That's what this guy currently does. Okay, so there's the restaurants that are in Milwaukee. So then what I'm going to do is we're going to have a constructor here. So I'll create a public Yelp API. I'll take in a string city. Let's call it city state, something like that. And we'll have a private string city state. This dot city state is equal to city state. And then what we'll do in here is we'll close up our string here. We'll concatenate onto it this dot city state. We'll concatenate onto that string. So now we can build a Yelp API and tack a city state in there. So we should be able to pass it all sorts of different things and get outputs. So let me go ahead and we'll go out here to main activity now. So this guy now expects an input. So if I pass it, here we'll pass it Mequon. We could do Mequon comma Wisconsin, but I think you might actually find Mequon plus Wisconsin to give you better results. A lot of APIs will work better that way, but you know, you can do it this way and it should be okay, I think. So we'll look for Mequon. Yelp.com. Oh, does it not like this? Let me give it that. Why are you mad at me? Okay, well, I do print out the error message. API.yelp.com, B3, businesses search, location is equal to this dot city state. Categories equal restaurants. should be right. Am I out of API calls? Sure, that works. Hmm. Let me run this through the debugger here. All right, that thread should be ready now. Did everybody create their own API key?
Yep, I did. I accidentally pinged yours twice during testing, and then I created my own.
I did my own too.
Okay. Let me just clean this. And I'll kill off the emulator real quick. If I can relocate this this top thing. Unable to resolve host api.yelp.com. No address associated with host name. There's api.yelp.com down. That looks like it works. At the very least, this should give us a authorization error. Okay, that looks like it works. Why is it having a web issue? We can't look up this site. What if I do? doing a weird DNS thing. So let's see who is. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do a trace route. All right, this looks like it's their IP. Just make sure that's the case. Does not look like it. Interesting. It's like timing out, getting to getting to their IP address. It's looking up that just fine. Yeah, see, it looks like it can't do a DNS lookup for api.yelp.com. Well, that's their domain. Well, this is unfortunate. What's funny is it ran the very first time I ran it just fine, and now it's not, my internet connection can't look it up. Let me do this. Okay, what's getting it on my internet connection? Let's restart Android Studio. There we go. I guess Android Studio just had diarrhea. That plus this dot city state plus all that. So this should give it to me for Mech1 and my current test. Okay, yep, that looks like Mech1 places. And then if I come in here and I change it to Champaign, and this should still work, this Champaign, Illinois, like this. Okay, so this is Champaign, Illinois stuff. All right, so now my Yelp API, I can pass a city-state thing to, and the API guy here will, it comes into the constructor. We set this variable here, and then when we tell this thread to start, it just tosses that city-state into my string here before it does its query. Okay, so now we're getting all of these JSON strings for the name. So now we're supposed to show a list of names, and we're supposed to show a a URL and an image. Those are the three things. All right, so let's get the names first. So what I'll actually do here is I'll have this constructor to also take in a linked list. And we'll call this the restaurant names. So this constructor will also take in a linked list of strings, the restaurant names, and we'll set that, and then we'll go ahead and fill it in here. All right, so very first thing I'll do after we have our data is I'll go ahead and say this dot the restaurant names dot remove clear. So that deletes everything from it just in case there's currently stuff in there. Right now I'm printing out some names. What I'll just go ahead and do is say this dot the restaurant names dot add whatever the name is that was printing out. So then we'll get a whole bunch of restaurant names added to this linked list. All right. Now, so when that's all said and done, when I get to this line right here, so let me put a breakpoint on this line. So I'll put a breakpoint there, I'll run it through the debugger, and we'll see that the restaurant names have a bunch of stuff in there. So out here in main activity, now my Yelp API requires a second parameter. It requires me to give it a linked list of strings. I'll just do it like that for right now. So I'm just giving it a blank linked list. We'll end up doing this on the page where we're going to have a linked list being the thing that our list view shows. And I'll run this guy through the debugger, and we'll see that that linked list gets filled up with stuff. All right, so right here here's my restaurant names, this guy down here. So it has 20 things in it. There's all my restaurants that pulled out of there. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and let's look at this. So the idea here is I go to airport list. I can filter on like Milwaukee. So here's Milwaukee, and now when were we doing it off of this or were we doing it off of Maraca?
Maraca, binary trees.
Okay, so I went into Maraca. This is giving me a, this is the name of the city, Key Largo, Florida. So this is the thing I want to pass in, right? All right, and then are we just adding a list view down here? Is that what you guys did?
I thought it was to add another button that, yeah, in somewhere on that screen
Okay.
that will take you to the list of restaurants.
Okay, well, that's just fine. I mean, doesn't matter if you have another button or do it on this screen. You know, it's doing the same thing, right? Do you have a preference in how you want me to do it?
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't, yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter.
It might look cooler here where it just kind of shows nearby restaurants here and then shows this list.
Right, that would be cool.
So let's just rate that real quick. Okie dokie. What's that guy called? Resources. Layout. What's that screen called? That.
Airport tree view, maybe?
The airport.
Down 3 more, right
Yeah.
there.
Thanks. Ah, that looks right. All right, so we have this in a, so I'll just go ahead and throw a, I got it, it's horizontal, so we're gonna put it there. And I'll say nearby restaurants, like that. And then we need to make sure it's horizontal linear layout, its height wraps content. So there's our nearby restaurants. And we will set that, guys. Man, my eyes are sucking again today. There we go. That looks good. Then, oh, you should center that because that's what the cool kids do. Where are they? So we'll center this guy. Okay. Then we're going to put a list view underneath there. Ay, ay, ay. Legacy, right? List view. Throw that guy down here. And we're going to call this guy restaurant LV, our restaurant list view. And is this our activity here? Yeah, it looks like it. So we'll go ahead and say private list view restaurant LV. And then we'll hook this guy up right here. This dot restaurant LV is equal to this dot find view by ID r dot ID dot restaurant LV. Okay, so we have that dude. Then what we're going to go ahead and do, you know what we actually can do is we can, instead of passing a linked list to our Yelp API, we can actually pass it an array adapter. That way we can tell that guy to notify of the changes. So, why don't I just go, I think it'll be clearer code for you if I pass all three. Private array adapter.
Did you fix your L button or key?
My who?
Your L key?
Oh, sort of. I dumped a bunch of seltzer water on it, so it's been working a little bit, but I'm supposed to bring it into the Apple Store to, they're going to replace the keyboard because it was under warranty or something.
Oh, okay.
So I'll go ahead and pass in the array adapter for this guy too. This dot AA is equal to AA. All right, so my Yelp API, I'll go ahead and grab the linked list, but I'll also pass the array adapter But notice here, I could say this.aa.get, what is it called? Get data something. There's some way of me getting that linked list from it anyways. No, maybe there's not. Thought there was. Maybe not. I am going to need both parameters anyways. That doesn't seem right. There is a way for me to get the linked list from an array adapter somewhere, but in any case, I'm going to pass my Yelp API, my linked list that I wanted to fill up with the restaurant names, as well as the array adapter for that list view, so it can go through and fill up that linked list and then tell the array adapter to update itself that there's new crap. All right, so that's what's going to happen with this guy. So down here at the very end, I was just printing out here saying that, okay, I have all my stuff, but I'll say this.aa.notify dataset change. That means I filled up my linked list with a whole bunch of crap. Here's all my restaurant names. So once I exit this for loop, I have all my stuff. Okay, so I will come back out here to main activity. We'll steal this guy from here because we are not doing it in main activity. We're now doing it in an airport tree view activity. So we have our list view. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create our array adapter. So we'll say array adapter of type string is equal to new array adapter. And we pass this guy our current context. Then we pass it what, an r dot layout dot, what did I call what's my simple one? Another row. Is that our simple one? And then I'll go ahead and pass it a brand new linked list. Let it go and fill up. Although instead of a brand new linked list there, I'll go ahead and do this. I'll say linked list of string. The restaurants is equal to a new linked list strings, and then I'll pass that guy the restaurants, and then I also am going to, okay, so I'm building my array adapter using, this is the context, my another row, which I'm pretty sure is our simple, just the text view row, and then my linked list that I want it to show. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and attach that. So I'll say this dot restaurant list view dot set adapter to AA. So I'll set it to that array adapter. And then I'll go ahead and just call my Yelp API. Yelp is equal to new Yelp API. And this guy is expecting that I pass it a city name. So my city name is currently stored in string location. So let's actually just move this down a little bit since I built that string right here. So I'll pass it location. Then it wants me to pass it my linked list, which is called, what do I call it? The restaurants. And then it wants me to pass it the array adapter. And then I'll go ahead and tell that guy that's thread to start. All right, so I build my Yelp API thread, giving it the place I want it to find the restaurants for. my link list of restaurants, which I know is always empty, but I go ahead and I have him empty it anyways right before he starts filling it. So right here inside of run, before he starts throwing stuff in there, where am I at here? Right here, I empty it. And then I give it the array adapter so that when he's done loading it all up, he can tell that array adapter to notify that the data has changed. So my list view fills up with stuff. All right, that's this. And then I'll go ahead and tell that thread to start. So this guy's running completely in the background, right? So this is my asynchronous thread. All right, it's going to start filling up, and then ultimately it'll show in that list the stuff. So that should be it for. So I'll go to my airport list, and I'm going to Maraca. Might not be any restaurants at this place. Left, Key Largo, Florida. There should be restaurants there. All right, so there's my restaurants in Key Largo, Florida. I go left again. Crested Butt. It doesn't seem like that should be in the name of a place. I guess Yelp doesn't have anything there. Brazoria, Texas. There we go. Oh, that's weird. Oh, no. We had that problem before where we actually technically have to do, there was stuff in those other ones, where we have to do it back at its own thread to get it to update. Remember way back. I think we have it inside of one of our threads. Probably did it in our network thread somewhere. Down here at the very end, this guy, we created that new handler thing so that we could update it on the main loop. Paste this in here first. And then we need to give ourselves a variable up here. I'll type Yelp API, private Yelp API, myself. And then inside here, we'll say this dot myself is equal to this. That way I have a synonym for the this keyword, since down here, when I'm inside this handler, I'm an instance of runnable, which is not, so this in here is an instance of runnable, not an instance of Yelp API. Myself is an instance of Yelp API. So now this guy should update his list view without me having to drag it. If you didn't do that, you had to drag it, that's fine. All right, so there's my restaurants near Utrecht Island, Key Largo, Florida. I don't think I can read that without laughing. Has anybody ever been there? Man, Mr. Gonzalez is going to love that place. Do they have any funny sounding restaurants? The Secret Stash Pizzeria, Django's Restaurant, the Dogwood. All right, so in any case, those are our restaurants. So that's That's the homework assignment for people who didn't go to the hackathon. Is that correct? Or I'm sorry, who did go to the hackathon?
We needed to do another screen that had name, address, telephone number.
So I have to click on these?
Correct, yep.
Okay, got it. So, should be able to go to my, where's my credit card? Credit card node, credit card. I just want to steal my item listener from, yeah, whatever. So that's going to be associated with my list view. So we'll just do it down here. This dot restaurants list view dot set item click listener. It's gonna be a like this. No, it's not. It's in here. New item. Click listener like that. All right. And then when we click on one of the things, this is from our view. So I need to make my link list global so I can access it in here because I'm getting a, shouldn't I have a position?
Isn't that what that integer is?
Yeah, I think we had renamed it position before. What's the long? Pretty sure my other code I named this position. Kind of remember. Okay, well, whatever, it's fine. So then I'll go ahead and I will move this link list guy. I'll make him global.
It's a row ID. That's what the long is.
Oh, okay. And then I'll say this dot restaurant. What do they call it? The restaurants? That guy there. And then I need to give myself an instance of myself because I'm going to have the same issues we had before. So we'll have a private airport tree view activity. We'll call it myself. And in here, I'll say this dot myself is equal to this. That way down here, I can say myself dot the restaurants. And then I can have get position from that, and that will give me the name of a specific restaurant. Okay. Now, so for starters, we now have a list of a bunch of restaurants. Now we need to do a little bit better than this because we're also going to need, now you could have created a whole restaurant link list and then had, actually probably would have made more sense to do it that way.
That's what I did. I interpreted you to mean that the list view was going to be a restaurant, a list view of restaurant objects.
This will actually give me a way to show you something kind of cool here. I think it'll let me show you something cool. Yeah, pretty sure. All right, so pause this for a second. We're going to be clicking on one of those things in our row, right? But now if I'm going to be showing effectively what we're going to be doing here in our Yelp API, we're not just going to be collecting strings. We're going to be collecting restaurant information. That's going to be the restaurant name, the restaurant, what did I say, address, phone number, What else?
Address, phone number, rating, review count.
Oh, man, a bunch of crap. Jeez. You sure I signed all that?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll say Java class. I'm going to create a new restaurant. Restaurant. So I'm doing this under, I'm just putting it in my
Made me
Yelp.
sad too.
By who, what?
It made me sad too to have to collect all that. So.
Well, it's going to be easy to collect it, won't it?
The address was hard. Other than that, it was okay.
What was hard?
Getting the address, because it was like a child object of the parent, Jason. I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it was just a little convoluted.
All right, well, we'll see that in a second then. All right, so we want private string name, and we want private, what did I say, phone number? And then private string address, private string URL, and
rating and review count.
Private int review count. Don't we need an image? So we had the URL. Don't we need an image URL too?
That's the penalty assignment was an image URL and what other thing.
So I might as well store it then, right?
Fair enough.
All right. So if I'm going to create a restaurant, I'm going to create a restaurant in terms of all of these things. Is this all the information I told you to show? Name, phone number, address, URL, image URL, review count?
Rating.
There was another thing, rating. Yeah, rating.
Private.
5 stars.
And rating is it a string or an int?
I thought it was a string, but it's probably an int because or
That's fine.
yeah.
We're just showing these things anyway. Let's just make all these strings. That way I don't have to parse it. All right, so I'm storing a whole bunch of string crap for this guy. So we'll have a public restaurant. This guy will take in a string name, string phone number, string address. Why is this thing here? String URL, string image URL, string review count, and string rating. We'll say this dot name is equal to name, this dot phone number is equal to phone number, this dot address is equal to address, this dot URL is equal to URL, this dot image URL is equal to image URL, review count rating, this dot review count is equal to review count, this dot rating is equal to rating. All right, so that's my whatever thing. And then I'll go ahead and generate getters for all of these guys. All right, so now I have getters for all of my private whatevers. All right, so now we're gonna go and start parsing. That's what I need to do. All right, let me just dump this guy right here so it's not screaming. Go back into our Yelp API. And right now I'm getting restaurant names, and that's fine, but I want to print out some other stuff in here. So do I still show my my string? Yeah, show my data. There's my log cat. All right, so here's my businesses here. And actually what I can do, highlight that. I'm gonna open up text edit. Let's create a new document.
It might be easier to look at it in Postman because it'll format it for you.
You might be right. What's so tiny? No, that's fine. It's good enough. All right, so we have the name. We're already getting that guy. We have the image URL. We can get that real easy, right? So that's pretty much the same thing that we did before. So I'm just going to print that out as well. String image URL is equal to businesses.get JSON. You know what? I'm going to do this. JSON object obj is equal to businesses get JSON object. That, and then I can say obj dot get string name, and I can say obj dot get string, and what's this guy called? Image URL. And then I need URL. Call it the URL. And that's this guy right here. And then we're getting review count as well. There's my review count. Then we're getting rating. Then we're getting okay, so we're getting the address from this.
Yeah, and I went for the display address. I mean, you can do whatever, but that's what I did. Is I went for the display address node.
Okay, so let me go ahead and grab phone real quick. Since actually, I'm going to grab display phone. That looks like it's a prettier way of showing phone, right? I'll grab my display phone. So do I have everything now except for display address?
Right.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get the value for location, but the value for location is a JSON object, right?
Yep.
I'll say JSON object location. Let's call this loc obj is equal to object dot get JSON object, and this guy is called location. Now I have that object. Now I have this dude, and from that object, I want to get the value for, I guess, display address that has a collection of strings in it. That's fine. I mean, you really could pull that off. I mean, I could choose to spin through a JSON array and just grab these two strings, or I could just build the stupid thing with these, you know, this value, and this value, and this value.
Yeah, no, I see that now. I went ahead and did the JSON array thing, but yeah, you could just construct it very easily from the JSON object.
Yeah. But this was the part you had issues with?
No, I didn't have issues with it. It was just, I was like, I just thought it was kind of stupid that I had to get a JSON object, then get a JSON array, and then parse the array or concatenate the two into the array.
I see. Well, that's the kind of value we have here, right? So this guy, the name is this, the value is a string. This guy, the name is this, the value is a JSON object. So that's the, you know, you got to just, that's what you got. All right, so I'll go ahead and just grab the, I'll grab.
I just split it and pulled out the substring of the display address.
Well, I mean, which is fine, but I mean, it's So you didn't even use the JSON?
I didn't pull the JSON object out of the JSON object. No, I just shoved location into a string and pulled out the substring of what I needed.
So aren't we just we're grabbing this, and then maybe kick it down the line and then grab Thiensville, comma, Wisconsin, space this. That's what we're building, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. You made this way too complicated.
I just like making it complicated. That's all.
All right, so we're going to call this string address 1 is equal to loc object get string, and this guy is called address 1. And then we're going to have string city is equal to loc object get string. This guy is called city. And we're going to have a string state is equal to loc object get string. I think actually get will work here, but I'll change it to get string. That way it always pulls a string out. And this is going to be state. And then we have our zip code. String zip is equal to loc object get string zip, like that. All right, that should be all our pieces. And then we'll build an address real quick. So string, call this formatted address is equal to, have a string formatter. So the new string, I can do the format one, right? What's it called on this? System dot string dot format. Yeah. String dot format. So we'll say percent s backslash n. So we're going to do address. Then we're going to say percent s, that's city, comma, percent s for state, space, percent s. This is going to be address 1, comma, city, comma, state, comma, zip. So it'll be the address, city, comma, state, and then space zip. I think that should do it. And then what I'll do here real quick is I'm just going to put a breakpoint right here, and we'll run it and walk through the code line by line. What's this guy bitching about? It's already defined in the scope. Oh, killing me. So here I gotta to refactor this guy. We'll call him temp obj. Okay, so I'll run this through the debugger. That way we'll be able to see that we're pulling out the right name, image, all that stuff. So we're confident we have the right stuff before we start stuffing it into objects. Ruh-roh. It's got to be in here. Probably not a fan of this right now. Okay, so we're in here. Here, I'll just jump through these real quick, and then we'll go back and look at them. We have name is this, what this is. This guy did not have an image, it looks like. Here's his URL, there's his review count, there's his phone number, there's his address, well, whatever. Rating, city. Zip formatted address is Torgenster, blah, blah, Updal, comma, 6. That's just a weird place. Where's that even located? Let's look at something in Key Largo. See if this guy did a little, all right, name, Hobo's Cafe. There's our image URL. There's our URL. There's a review count. There's our phone number. There's our address 1, rating, city, state, zip. Here's our formatted address. That looks reasonable. Okay, I think we have all our pieces. Okay. So we'll go into, all right, so questions what we did there? So now, instead of us having restaurants, we're gonna have, you know, I actually probably could do this in 2 pieces so we can keep our, oh, I said I was gonna show you the cool array adapter thing. Okay, we'll do that. Then you'll hate me that I didn't show it to you earlier. What's it doing? All right, so this is no longer going to be a linked list of strings. It's going to be a linked list of restaurants. This guy will be a linked list of restaurants. And this array adapter, he's going to take in a linked list. Actually, this guy should be okay right now, right? Okay. He wants it to actually come in as a generic list, but it's fine. All right, so, but what I'm going to do here when I build this array adapter, let me just ask you this. What's the difference between a normal array adapter and when we build a custom array adapter?
Like if it's taking in an object that has multiple lines on it, like the credit cards?
I guess what I'm asking is what's the difference in terms of what we write? So if you're writing a custom array adapter, what are you actually writing different? There's a certain function inside of array adapter that you have to override, correct? To teach it how to do your special thing? What's the name of that function? You all know that. Most of you wrote this with a custom array adapter, right? So we come in here and we go into our, if I go to my, where's my custom array adapters? Here, if I go into credit card array adapter, what method am I going to find in there that we had to write special to work with credit cards? Get view? We had to write our own version of get view, right? Everybody with me now? That's what we had to do special for our custom array adapter to work for, in this case, credit cards instead of strings. So what I can do here, rather than create a custom array adapter, I can build my array adapter here. And let's see, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to get rid of this guy. Now on that main screen, are we still just going to show the restaurant names, and then when we click it, it'll take us to the next thing with the other info?
Right.
All right, so we're going to set the adapter here, and this guy is going to be a new array adapter of type restaurant. Let's see, am I doing this right? Yeah, and then I do this, get view, just like we do for the just like we do for our list item listener thing or click listener. We could do the same thing here. So our array adapter takes in a context. It takes an r.id. What do we call the thing? Oh no, r.layout. Dot another row. And then it takes in our collection, which is this dot the restaurants. Okay, so these are the things it's taking in. It's taking in a context, our list view, and then our restaurant collection. But we're going to override get view here and write it ourselves. So inside of get view, what is the name of our, I have to go and look at. We actually could probably just search it, but here's another row. Doesn't even have a name. We'll just call him TV. We could have searched for him directly. We didn't have to. So I'm going to, here's my convert view. So I'm going to say text view TV is equal to the text view version of convert view dot find view by ID r.id dot TV. So I'll get my text view here. Now this guy's job is to return a, ultimately return a view for that row. The view I'm going to return him is that text view. Now I also need to get my restaurant. Restaurant R is equal to, now I am right inside here. I am in an instance of array adapter. So I'm going to say this dot, what is it, get item? This dot get item, I'm going to give it a position. And that's going to return for me the restaurant that lives at position in the collection that I passed to this array adapter. So I gave it a collection of restaurants. This will get me the restaurant at bucket position. And then I'll say tv.set text equal to r.get name. Return TV. That's my custom adapter that works on restaurants. See how that works? Rather than writing a whole brand new array adapter, a whole brand new class that extends array adapter, I just created a new array adapter. I passed it my normal stuff, but in line, I overrode that get view function to do my special stuff to work with restaurants to get the name of the restaurant. Okay, then here, I'm going to say this dot, the, what do I call it? The restaurant LV. No, it's just called restaurant LV. I need to get the adapter for that guy so I can pass it into my Yelp API. Now my Yelp API no longer takes a list of strings. So right now I have it bringing in a list of strings. Now I want a list of restaurants. A list of restaurants. And then down here, I have all this information I just grabbed. I want to use it to build a new restaurant and add it to my list. So I'm going to add a new restaurant. Just tell me what all at once. Okay, so let me go to restaurant here. Oh, put it in Yelp, didn't I? So this is all the crap restaurants expecting from me. I'm just going to copy all this and then paste it in there and doctor it up. All right, so when I build a new restaurant, it wants all that stuff for me. So I have something called name. I have something called phone. I have something called formatted address. I have something called URL, or called it the URL. I have something called image URL. I have review count. And rating. So those are all my pieces. So I extract the pieces here from my JSON object, create a new restaurant object from that, add it to my linked list of restaurants. So back out here, what's this guy complaining about? Oh, it wants me to let him know that this guy is actually an array adapter of restaurants, isn't it? Oh, I probably still have it taking an array adapter of strings. Yep, here's my array adapter. This guy's taking an array adapter of restaurants, array adapter of restaurants. So then back out here, I should be able to just give it the normal value. All right. Names, look this. So it gives me a list adapter, and I want this guy to be a array adapter of restaurant. Okay. So I'll ask the restaurant list view for his adapter, which is an array adapter of restaurants. I had to do that because of the way I built my array adapter. I didn't put it in a variable. I just built it on the fly here and set the adapter equal to it. So then I just asked this dude for his adapter when I needed it down here. All right, so for my Yelp API now, I'm passing it a location string. I'm passing it a linked list of restaurant objects rather than a string. And then I'm passing him my array adapter that I inline overrode the get view function to teach it how to fill that guy up with specifically the restaurant name rather than just some string. All right, so if we run this now, we should have something that looks just like we had before. Ruh-roh. You know what, I bet. Did we at least get empty strings for those guys? See, I bet you that very first one was really funky. I bet you we're not getting all the things we'll have to give default values. I should just close that that place down just from the name of the some of their stuff. So if I go through here and I get through formatted address, yeah, we have this like weird name. Image URL is the empty strings. That should be okay. The URL has some stuff. Review count is 1. There's the phone number. It's a string. The address is just funky, but it's technically still a string. All right. Then we'll come here. We'll add that restaurant. We're going to do this again. Oh, so it crashed on the 3rd time through? Let's see what he wasn't happy about. Oh, didn't like my getting my text view thing there. That's a real thing. R.layout. Another row. That is the guy I wrote that for, right? Here's another row. He's called TV. That guy is a text view. Oh, hold on. Oh, he is a text view in and of himself. He's not a, that's why it didn't have a name in there. He's not a vertical linear layout with a text view in it. He is a text view. So this guy right here. So we'll just get our text view TV. This is the text view version of convert view because he's not a generic view. He's actually a text view. Airport list. Oh, I think I clicked too fast and hadn't read in the airport yet. Okay. There we go. Should get a more appropriate error now. Yeah, it's saying that this guy isn't a thing. But saying this text view is not actually a thing. R.layout another row is the guy I have there. I thought convert view should be that. This dot, it's have all the pieces, right? We got the parent. So this dot get view position 0, convert view, parent, text view TV is equal to the text view version of that. This would definitely work on a normal layout because we're using this ghetto layout. It's problematic, but I think this might fix it. What it's yelling about is, as it's trying to find the view, you know, I'm trying to get that text view so I can set the text in it. When it goes to this line right here, it's yelling that I'm trying to call set text on a null value because TV doesn't have stuff in it. I'm not grabbing that view correctly yet. Ooh. Some awesome looking stuff there. Just like an infinite loop on itself for get view. I wonder if it wants the parent. Yeah, I'm just gonna put a stop right in here. Just want to take a look at this convert view. That'll tell me how to call them the right way. Otherwise, we'll just make a simple row that actually has a vertical linear layout with something called TV or something in it. Okay, oh, I can zip past that. All right, now we're here. What does convert view? Yeah, see, convert view is null. Parent is a thing. Why is convert view null? All right, whatever. So I'm going to create a new layout resource file. We're going to call this guy a restaurant row. And we're going to make him a linear layout. Okay. And then, so we have a vertical linear layout here. We'll throw a text view in there. We're going to name this text view restaurant name TV. Okay. So now we'll go back into our tree view thing here. I'm no longer going to throw it another row. I'm now throwing it layout.restaurant row. Let me just run it up to this point here real quick, and let's make sure convert view has a real value. doesn't. Passing the right values into array adapter, aren't I? Oh, fine. I'll just build my own stupid text view. You're gonna be like that. So I'll come in here. I'll create a new text view built with that context. And I'll set that guy and I'll return it. All right, so there's that. That. So I just inflated my own text view there. I don't know why this convert view isn't giving me the value that I believed I was passing in here. Oh, I know. We have to inflate it the very first time. If you remember back to, this is for performance reasons. We come back in here and we look at, let's just look at one of our custom array adapter things. Remember this guy right here? We had to do this layout inflator from our context and inflate. We'd have to get the, we didn't call it. They called it that there, but we're going to have to find the name of it in here. So it would be this dot get somewhere in here. It has to give me the resource ID so I can actually inflate it. No, it doesn't matter. I'll just do this. If convert view, actually I'll do this. Text view TV is equal to text view version of convert view. Then if TV is equal to null, then I'll go ahead and just create a text view this time around and set stuff. Otherwise, it's going to actually have a value. So remember the very first time through, because it reuses those rows, it only has some stuff on either end, at the top or the bottom of the list view. It reuses them. So the very first time through, all of our convert views will be empty. So I'll try to grab it. If it's currently null, I'll set it equal to a real text view. Somewhere in there, we must be able to ask an array adapter for the dude I sent in here. I just don't know what his name is right now. So rather than kill a bunch of time looking for it, I know it's just going to be a text view. So I'll go ahead and say if it's null this time, I'll just go ahead and create a brand new text view and then set my stuff and return it. The next time around when we use the same position, convert view won't be null. It'll be a real thing. So if I run this now, we should have it working, as well as the performance benefit of only creating brand new text views when there's actually a text view to create. Okay, so that's our long-winded quickie version of a custom array adapter. You know, you might prefer your way, but the way we've done before. But if you just need to do something quick and dirty with a semi-custom get view, where we just extract it a single string rather than, you know, them knowing that our restaurants hold strings, this was a reasonable way of doing it. So now I need to put a listener on this guy. So this dot restaurant LV dot set on item click listener to new. So the new on item click listener. Okay, and this guy is going to give me, this was, I was the position here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say, let's just throw that restaurant up in core. Create a public static restaurant cur selected restaurant. Start off as null. So then in here, when they click something, we'll go ahead and say core.cur selected restaurant is equal to myself, because I need to have access to this for my airport travel or tree view activity, rather than this being an instance of on item click listener. So I'll say myself dot, what do I call it, the restaurants dot get position. So I'll go ahead and set my core current selected restaurant to be the restaurant that is, they just clicked on. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and create my new activity. And we're going to call this what, like restaurant detail activity. Make this an empty activity. Restaurant detail activity. Finish. This guy. All right, we'll change this to a vertical linear layout. Okay, and then we'll put at the top here, give it some bigger text. And we'll center it. And I'll just put the name there first, just to make sure that we're able to pass that information across. And then we can confidently fill out the rest of it. All right, and we're gonna set this guy, we'll call him name TV. And this is called restaurant, blah, 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 this guy. So we'll go ahead and get our text view. name TV is equal to this dot find view by ID r dot ID dot name TV. And we'll say name TV dot set text equal to core dot current selected restaurant dot get name. And that should pass through. So now we just need to launch this activity from our guy here. So after we set the current selected restaurant, then we're going to create an intent. I is equal to new intent. Then intent, we have to pass it a context. So we're going to pass it myself. And then we're going to pass it, what do I call it? Restaurant detail activity class. And then we'll say myself dot start activity I. So when we click on one of our rows, we'll set our core current selected restaurant to whatever position we clicked on in the restaurants. Then we'll go to that screen, start up that activity. When we get to that screen, what do? Right now, we just have a text view for our name. We'll go ahead and grab that text view, and we'll set the text equal to the name of the current selected restaurant. So we'll do this to prove that we get there. On this, so it doesn't matter what we click on, click there. So this takes us to that screen with that restaurant name. So now we have all the restaurant information there. So we need to put in the stuff for the other fields. Where's restaurant? Well, whatever. Okay, so we want phone number, address, URL. We'll probably make that a button. We'll just call it website, and then we'll have an image in there, review count. So let's do everything but URL and image URL. So we'll do name, phone number, address. So that's going to be phone. Address. Where's restaurant? Didn't I just open it? Phone, address, review count, rating. Name, phone, address, review count, rating. So come back into here. We'll grab those other text views. Phone TV. Address TV. Review count. Rating. This will be phone, TV, address, TV, review count, rating, and then we'll set those guys. It's going to be phone, TV, dot set text to core dot current selected restaurant dot get phone. Address TV dot set text to core dot current selected restaurant dot get address. Review count TV dot set text core dot current selected restaurant dot get review count. And then rating TV dot set text to core dot cur selected restaurant dot get rating. So that should be all the information out for the normal homework assignment. So here's the place, there's the phone number, this is the address, this is the review count, this is the rating. All right, so let's go ahead and put the image view on there. All right, so that's it for the homework, right? For everybody who didn't go to the hackathon, who went to the hackathon rather?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, you could probably make this look prettier, but that's the stuff. Hey, Tabby, will you get me out of my blue backpack there, the white power cable? So I have a feeling I'm gonna die before my 18 minutes is up. Yeah, it's in the big part, like down towards the bottom. There you go. All right, back in business. Okay, so let me throw, we're gonna have an image view down here, I guess. Let's do that first. It's on this screen. So here's a image view. And I don't have to put anything in there, right? Just go to zippy drawable. Does this just give you sample data? What did I do? Is he dying? Whatever I just did, he didn't seem very happy by it. Android Studio Joe is just crashing. Well, here, while it's gracefully dying, let me just go ahead and it's going to be in network code to load the binary data. So Android image view URL. Loading, that's too old. Yeah, this could have some.
Will we have time to talk about the final?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So this bitmap factory thing. Okay. This would work. Steal this real quick. This guy done crashing yet? Doesn't look like it. All right, so let's see if we can do a little better with our image view this time. Choose an avatar, and do we get to choose one of those guys? Ah, there we go. So we're just going to call this the image. All right, and we'll go ahead and set that. What I'll do real quick is I'll just build a quick thread, because remember we can't do network stuff in on the main thread. So I'll call this guy image view thread, and he's going to extend thread, and we'll say private image view IV public image view thread. This guy's going to take in a string URL and an image view IV private string URL. This dot image view is equal to image view. This dot URL is equal to URL. Then we'll come down here and have our public void run. Paste the code I stole here. We already have our image URL up there. We're importing this bitmap, importing java.io for that. Import bitmap string. This is this dot URL. That's just our error message if something bad happens. Then once we have the image, can we just set it? We say this dot iv dot set image to bitmap. Like that. Put that in here. So that guy should do it. I'll build an image view thread. I'll throw it my URL I want it to load, as well as the image view I want it to load it into. I'll start it. It'll create a blank image. Actually, I could put this inside the try too. I don't a great reason to have it outside of it. Then he'll go through and open up that URL, try to read in the that image from the stream, set the image equal to what I just read in, and if nothing bad happens, it should just work. Come back here to our restaurant activity dealy flippy thingy. I'll go ahead and get my image view. So this is going to be image view. What did I call that guy? oh, whatever. It's equal to this dot find view r dot id dot, what would I call it? The image. So I'll call it the image here as well. And then we'll go ahead and we're going to create an instance of our image view thread. Image view thread IVT is equal to new image view thread. And I need to pass this core dot selected restaurant dot get image URL as well as the image. Then I'll tell that IVT to start. So I'm passing it in the URL I want it to load as well as the image I want it to load it into. And he should go to work and do that for me, presuming there is something in that URL. I think that first guy maybe did not have an image in that URL. Just go to another restaurant here. So we'll go here. Big money. Well, here, let's. I'll put stop there. I'll put stop there. We'll run it through the debugger. Just make sure it didn't eventually pop in. And the URL is this guy right here. That's a JPEG. What's my stack trace? Oh. Kind of junky. So we need to go and do that same thing we did before. The main thread thingy. Where is it? Okay, I think that should do it now. All right, there's your picture. All right, and trust me, the website's pretty much the same type of thing. You just load a web view, you give it the URL, and it loads it up. The web view is actually probably simpler than this, because this one, in order to get to pop in, you had to figure out that you needed to do this handler thing. Does that sound accurate?
I actually was able to find a way to do it in the thread that I was working in. I didn't have to create a secondary one.
Oh, so you didn't even do this other thread thing like I did.
Right.
Okay. But the web view was easy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just do a search for web view stuff and you can find it. I'll take a couple of minutes at the end. I just want to go through the exam real quick. So what I'll do is, the exam is going to be pretty similar. So what I'll do is I'll put the exam up, let's say by Sunday of this week, or of next week, but I guess, yeah. But I'll actually probably try to put it up before that. I'll try to put it up late this week. And I just need you to turn it in by, call it, midnight Sunday after finals week. So you can decide when's the best time for you to do it. We won't meet in person. What we'll do is I'll do it as a exam on Blackboard like before. I'll just make the time limit open-ended. You know, I'll set it for 4 hours or something. I'll design the exam to take like 1 hour. So pretty similar to the last one. You know, you can use your notes and stuff like that if you want. Just don't use Teams when you're solving it. Let me open this guy up. I would say the focus on the exam is going to be on our last 3 assignments, so probably the stuff post-Easter. Everything leading up to that would be fair game, list views and array adapters and that kind of stuff, but those have been like repeating themes throughout the semester. So there'll probably be something with RESTful APIs on there, walking a JSON string, something like that. That's pretty important stuff that we've done more recently. There'll be some stuff with binary trees on there. Probably there'll be 10 questions. Probably 6 or 7 will be programming-esque. There will be 1 conversion question, at least. I put conversion questions in every one of my exams forever and ever and ever. Let's see. Yeah, so I would focus on how binary trees work. Be able to do tree traversal stuff. I could see me asking a question dealing with, if I give you a binary tree and I tell you what would post order, pre-order, and in order boil down to for this tree, you should be able to give me those 3 things. In fact, I could almost promise that's a question. You should be able to traverse a binary tree. I probably won't ask you to write a binary tree on the exam just because you could just go into your notes and copy it. So I might give you some code and say, what does this do? So you should definitely be able to read code. Quite possibly, I would give you, based on like the assignment for this week, I would give you like a JSON string and tell you to create the necessary JSON object to pull out, you know, a piece of information or some subset of information like we did today with the name and all that stuff. So be able to work with JSON. Also threads. I like to ask questions relating to threads. So I might show you some code that creates a thread and then starts it, similar to what we did back here, where I created this thread and I started this thread, and this code does not block. So this is asynchronous code that's running in the background while we continue on, and then as soon as it's ready, this guy went ahead and popped the image in when it was done. All right, so understand the use of threads to do stuff in the background and how we've been leveraging it from the perspective of Android's rules of not doing network stuff on the main thread. So whenever we need to do network stuff, so for instance, in this case, we had to go look up an image associated with the URL, we had to create our own thread to do it. Definitely understand the concept of binary trees are collections of binary trees. So it's a tree of trees as opposed to this idea of like our linear linked data structures being a bunch of nodes linked together. I would say that there will probably be, or it's at least fair game to have questions related to linked lists or something like that. So I mean, everything that's led up to this entire semester, you know, all this, it's a cumulative exam, but the emphasis will definitely be on this stuff since Easter, since we've been kind of bringing all that stuff back together. If you've noticed the last several assignments, I've had you go back and do almost everything we did previous to Easter in each of those assignments. So at this point, ArrayAdapter should be pretty common knowledge type stuff. So I'm probably not going to test you on something very specific with ArrayAdapters, although I didn't like the fact that you couldn't come up with the get view thing today. But so that might make it on the exam if I remember that. You know, what's the function you have to override in an ArrayAdapter to make it work for custom objects? That's the get view function. So if we kind of go back, let me. Definitely be familiar with singletons. Decent chance I might give you kind of some given information for the exam, and one of those things might be a singleton that has some stuff in it. You should know how to call that stuff. If it has a bunch of static things in there, know how to call it. Be able to use context. I'm not going to ask you for deep knowledge about context. Like I said, ArrayAdapter should be pretty common knowledge, so I'm not going to you might have to use one, or there might be one involved, but I'm not going to ask deep information about it. Definitely understand linked lists. I could see I think we covered this right after the hackathon, something around the strings with the double equal sign versus dot equals for comparing strings. So understand how Java sets up its literal, string literal system. So the double equal sign will give you false positives sometimes because it's comparing the actual memory addresses, not the string contents. Certainly something with Firebase is fair game. I could show you a Firebase endpoint and and give you a reference to that and ask you to walk through a data snapshot. So something we've done a bunch of times. You might go back and review how we did that with our credit cards and our loyalty programs and pulled out collections of those guys. So that would be fair game. Not necessarily a top emphasis, but that would be a fair question to ask. I'm not going to ask anything about the difference between databases. Certainly understand the difference between stacks and linked lists. Yeah, this is that thing I'm talking about from the hackathon. Double equal signs for string in Java. That's a really good topic, and it's something that even advanced programmers they stumble on. So be worthwhile to study that. I can almost promise you there'll be a question related to this on the exam. That'll be a good thing to make sure it's ingrained in your soul. Yeah, so I would say for the most part, if you start at slide 80 on, that's going to cover, well, for what we put in slides. So slide 80 on, and then conversion questions, and then the homework assignments. The assignment we had I would say since Easter. Those have been culmination assignments where we've added some new stuff. So questions about the exam?
Can you commit what you have so far on GitHub?
Well, no, I'm going to delete all that. You want all this code?
Yeah.
Killing me. Yelp, awesome thingy. All right, it's there. One thing you will have to do for the exam, though, and I'll put it in the instructions, but like I said, the exam's not designed to be a time crunch type thing. I mean, I probably won't put like 8 hours on it or something, but I'll probably set it to be like 3 hours, but I'll design it to be 1 hour, but give you 3 or 4, something to do it. But make sure that you can complete it all in a single sitting, because Blackboard does not do well when you break it up. So, you can decide between, this coming Friday, let's say, I'm hoping to get it up by then, and Sunday a week later, or 9 days later, whatever. When you want to do it doesn't matter to me, because I just need to grade it on that Monday following the graduation and stuff. So feel free to ask me questions leading up to that, but don't work in groups. You can use your notes. You can look at code. I just want you to show me that you understand the material at if you're working professionally for a place, you'll have access to resources to do stuff. But, if you're just looking at code and you have no idea how it works, that's not going to do you any good. So at the very least, you need to show me that you could follow some code and get some stuff working if you had to, not that you could just sit down and write it off the top of your head in an exam. Anything else? Going once. Going twice. Okay, well, I'll just remind everybody, tomorrow night starts the senior seminar presentations, and remember, I'm offering up to 8% extra credit on your final exam. So what is it, like 0.5% per presentation you go to? There's 8 presentations tomorrow, 8 presentations on Thursday night. John Shoddy is going to be recording everything for us. Dr. Locklear will be there for the first couple tomorrow night. I'm the one who'll actually grade them once I see the recording, but I'm taking some students down to a tech conference in Milwaukee, and it looks like there's at least a risk I will not be back until 6 or 6:30 or something. So you may not see me until 6:30 or 7, but there'll be a sign-in sheet to sign up for whatever presentations you end up going to, so I can give you credit. And that's tomorrow night, and that is Thursday night from 5 to 10 p.m., something like that, in Pharmacy 08. So one of the big lecture halls on the main floor of pharmacy. Questions about that? Probably want to take advantage of that for some extra credit. All right, that's what I got for you. So this code is all pushed, and I will see you when I see you.